It's time for Cats Talk Wednesday. Small town and big city joined forces. Vinny Hardy of Lynch, Kentucky, and Terry Brown of Louisville, Kentucky, team up to give you free-flowing, laid-back sports talk. Focus on Kentucky Wildcats, as well as pertinent information in the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Cats Talk Wednesday, courtesy of the BS3 Network. My name is Vinny Hardy, flying solo because Terry T.B. Brown has got to work. You know, life happens, so he's not able to be on this episode. But got a friend of the show filling in. Last time he was here, TB wasn't here as well. So I'm not just saying, I'm just saying. Is it like, no, that's not. Him and TB are cool. We're just talking about it. But he writes and does his thing for Kentucky Insider. Kyle McClelland is out here, fellow Rockets fan, covers the Cats. Also a low-key, he's a Tar Heel fan, but he's good people. What's going on, Kyle?
I'm doing great. I'm over here trying to repost the video, and I can't. I'm struggling. But I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, as always. Ready to talk about some things with you. I know we always have a good conversation no matter what the topic is. So
always. I don't even remember how I guess we've been following each other, or K1 Insider, we're following each other or something like that. But I always appreciate having you. And like I said, we get it worked out when it is you, TB, and myself. All three of us can chop it up and do that kind of thing. But we're coming to y'all a little earlier than normal. It's usually 6:30-ish, sometimes 6:40, 6:50, depending on TB and I, yucking it up before we start. But you actually got to work yourself. TB's already at work. So
I hustle in the evenings. I'm sorry.
No, man, you carving out a little time, but actually before you go hit work yourself to jump on here. So definitely appreciate it. Now everybody don't just have to listen to me just drone and fly solo and just be like, Vinny, you need somebody on here with you.
Yeah, for sure.
But man, appreciate you. It's summertime now. As far as actual games, there's not a lot going on. There's still stuff that we're keeping our eye on. One less thing to watch now was Malachi Marino. Everybody was sweating. Is he going to go? Is he going to stay? Can make more money here. Will he get a guarantee? Is he going to be in the first round? So now Malachi's off the board. So he's back in the fold on this current upcoming season for the Kentucky roster.
Yeah. I know. I don't want to say I knew, but we had a feeling like he would be coming back. It just made too much sense for him not to. Obviously, maybe not as much as the Cal era, but still when you come to Kentucky, these kids are highly touted. They want to go to the NBA. They want to play at the next level. But it almost, it gets to a point where it's like, well, yeah, you could go to the NBA now. But with NIL and everything else at the college level and the level it's reached, you could set yourself up financially, become a better player, become a better person on and off the court, and then you go to the NBA and you'll get drafted even higher because next year's class is weak. So all these little boxes are just kind of checked, and I think it ended up being like last second. It was like, okay, we'd be really shocked if Malachi actually stays in the draft and goes through with everything. But crazier things have happened. So, he waited. I believe it was Sunday night he officially announced. So, when that video dropped and he made it official, I know a lot of fans were happy to, check that one off the board and be like, all right, we have our starting centers here.
Absolutely. Because still kind of waiting to see what the roster looks like, or is it maybe it's just me. The sum's gonna have to be greater than the individual parts, even for this, even with Malachi, for this team to, I think I had to show me. I'm still not like wow. I hope they go 29-5 and go deep into March. And maybe they will, but I'm just kind of because after last year, a lot of those injuries and all, I'm just like, I just gotta kind of see it to believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you speak for all the fans when you say that, because it's the same feeling, I'm sure. Because last year you had the most expensive roster in the nation. You end up going through all those injuries and all the drama in the early season. And it just felt like, how can we even be hopeful for next year? And then I will say, like, credit to Kentucky. I think we were all kind of dogging, like, on Mark Pope and recruiting and, goes down the line where, like, you have to put together a good team. Like, this isn't an off season to lollygag or mess around. I'm kind of in the boat where it's like seeing is believing, but I think those guards, Alex Wilkins and Zoom Diallo, I think they're going to be really special. And I've always been a big fan of Malachi just because when I was coming into the basketball world and started covering the men's basketball team, that was like my first year doing it. And I got to watch Malachi win a state championship with Great Crossing, and then got to watch him last year. And so now I just believe maybe it's a little more heart than brain, but I just believe he's going to be a monster, and people aren't going to be ready for him. So with those three, and then, maybe there's a big splash sometime today with Milan, and this team just ends up coming together real nicely. It would be a special treat.
Yeah, yeah. And as far as Malachi, he's got a year under his belt. You can't have experience until you get experience. He could have people
Very true.
telling him till he was blue in the face last year what college ball is like, what the SEC is like. You got to watch for this. You got to do that. His coach is a big man who played at Kentucky, played in the SEC, all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But until he actually went through all 35 games himself, now he knows areas where he's weaker in. He knows where he's got some strengths. He knows where his weaknesses are. And we saw sometimes just grab the ball with two hands, just hold on to it.
Yes.
Now we'll see you'll get in the weight room and address that. Plus, what, you're 19, you still got growing to do as just naturally,
Yeah.
in addition to the weight program that they're going to put you on. So you're going to hopefully see him make strides as normal freshman to sophomore progression should happen. Experience, the dude's smart. You see his IQ. You saw, him, the processing the information, decision making. All of that should, take a step as well. Second year in the system, Pope has said several times, year 2 guys in my system show improvement. So
and we've even seen the videos of him. I believe it was at the Lakers facility, sparking some threes a little bit. And I'm like, maybe I don't want you shooting threes like that, Malachi. But Mark Pope has seemed to switch back to the year 1 standard where it's like, let's have a run and gun, fast pace, athletic, shoot the ball type of team, which, is good. He's learning from last year. Last year was a disaster in terms of, because I think I even remember you bringing it up. It's like you can teach a guy to play defense. You can't really teach a guy to shoot the ball. And it's like if you have the dynamic there and, imagine Malachi ends up being a guy who can space the floor out, maybe running a 5 out with Malachi, knowing he can hit a deep mid range, that opens up so much on the court.
Yeah. We saw the turnaround under pressure at LSU to win that game. I think he ended up being under 70% from the free throw line, I think. But and I've heard, you hear Tom Leach and those guys that are at practice every day, his stroke doesn't look bad. His shot it's not like you said, man, that dude's shot is broke, bro.
Yeah, got a little Larry Bird in him.
Right, yeah.
Behind the head, yeah.
Yeah. But it's not it's not Mo Diabate's shot. He doesn't, you know what I'm saying? And
right, yeah.
And we saw from the jump that like, man, there's the reason Mo is open. It's not,
he
shooting
had
ain't your thing.
Had his fair share of air balls and hitting the side of the rim and all that.
Yeah. So I think Malachi, from a potential talent standpoint, fundamental standpoint, shot looks good. Then put the work in and just hone your skills and keep working at the craft, and the results should follow. So we'll see soon, though.
Yeah.
So like, BBN, we as a fan base feels like we like to sweat stuff. We like to be nervous about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So now we don't have to worry about Malachi now. So what's up with Milan? Is he gonna stay in the draft? Is he gonna?
Well, to me, I know there's been a lot of schools brought up, and there's been a lot of rumors. To me, as of right now, it seems like there's a door for Iowa State return still open, and then it feels like Kentucky's leading in terms of the college foreground, and then that St. John's is close behind. That's what it seemed like for a couple days to me. And so many people way above my level at the NBA are just talking like we kind of don't anticipate him to stay in the draft. It doesn't make too much sense for him. And even almost same situation as Malachi. Malachi was slated higher in the draft, but there's just too much money on the table to not go back to college. There's too much of this is the guy who averaged 17 points and shot nearly 50, 40, 90 in college, made the most threes in college as well. Like, that's an insane player to have on your roster no matter who you are. And the fact that Kentucky and St. John's still have that money sitting in that account, and they have, one or two roster spots left to fill out, you can only imagine it's just like a perfect fit. Just like, hey, come on to Kentucky. You'll be our starting small forward. Here's just what we're going to pay you. Here's what you're going to do. It's instant. And St. John's is kind of in that same conversation, but I feel like he would more so lean to being like a stretch four, which I just don't, in my brain, I don't know if that's best for him. I feel like he's almost like a upgraded Cam Williams, and we're just like putting a better version of him over Cam and having Cam rotate off the bench if he ends up committing to Kentucky. So that's just my thoughts on it. I don't believe he's staying in the draft. I just think it same with Malachi. There's just too much green check marks down at the college level that can set you up for your future way better.
And I can see that. I can also see that, like those numbers that you talked about him, 50, 40, 90. Does he think, I don't have to prove myself at this level anymore? Or does he go ahead and jump? Or
Fair. But the thing is, like, as of right now, he's like second round pick at best, which seems weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what more scouts want to see from him. Maybe they want to see him develop more defensively, but his defense is solid. Like, there wasn't much that I didn't see he could improve on. But, maybe it's the shot checking aspect. I think that's the only thing maybe. He shot great percentages, but there was a couple games, and even against Tennessee in the Sweet 16, shot, I believe it was 5 for 20 or 5 for 19. Mm-hmm. So it's like, there's days your shots won't fall, but there's also a level of consistency that you have to follow. So, if he breaks over that free throw line, because I believe it was at like 86, 87%, not quite 90. If he can break over that, break over the 40 mark from three, break over the 50% mark from field goal, and just like be that pure bucket getter for whatever college he goes to, maybe that would solidify him. And even in like the NBA world today, we're seeing seniors and fifth years going at a rate that it is way higher than it used to be. Like a great example is RJ Davis. Like just a couple of years ago, he went undrafted, I believe, and then ends up playing for the Lakers in the G League. There's guys like that now who are going mid-second round just because of the pure fact of what they proved at college. They played for 3 different schools and ended up doing the same at every school. So it's like there's just so many new layers to the NBA draft, and I don't know what it is that Milan has more to prove, but, maybe one more year of college ball certainly wouldn't wouldn't hurt him in any means.
And next year's draft is projected to be weaker, so that might, give him a
Exactly.
chance to go higher as well. So a lot of factors, and you can, depending on how you look at it, you can see it from a lot of different ways, and we'll know in a few hours what he's going to do as far as staying or going, and then he goes to which school is he going to pick. So we sweat. Yeah. So
now that it's 5:00, it's seeming more and more he's going to buzzer beat us, which is, oh no, like I don't want to have to go through that.
yeah.
Like I remember when I was first starting Jackson Robinson's was at like midnight, and I was just like, man, like why'd you wait all the way till midnight?
Yeah,
but I mean, I would do the same thing if I was a player.
Yeah.
I would do the exact same thing.
We should be used to it, and maybe we are, but we still don't. That don't mean we like it. It's just. But I'm like you. I'd milk it too if I was in that position.
Oh yeah, try and get the sweetest deal possible.
Absolutely. Speaking of sweet, I got to play a sponsor. We had a sponsor on the podcast, Sweet Alternatives, Sheer Alternatives. So we'll work that in, and we'll get right back to talking about cats and a little random stuff with Kyle McClelland here in just a second. So y'all stay right with us.
Today's show is sponsored by Sheer Alternatives. Explore all natural products, eco-friendly, fluoride-free toothpaste, and clean dental care made with natural ingredients. Redefining wellness through clean ingredients, reduced waste, and eco-friendly care. Go to sheeralternatives.com. Not only do they do toothpaste, but mouthwash, oral care products, sea moss, and more. So make sure to check it out today, sheeralternatives.com.
Everybody at Sheer Alternatives, and we appreciate them sponsoring the podcast. So give them a click to the website, check out all the products that they have. So we hit Malachi, we hit Milan. Far as on the field, on the court, we got Kentucky baseball getting to play a few more games as they heard their names called on Monday, the selection show. They had to sweat it out, Kai, but they get to go to Morgantown and play some more baseball.
Yeah, they got their fourth straight NCAA appearance. So by no means can you say the program's down. But I know from their standards, looking at the record here, 31-21, 13-17 in conference play, they definitely want to put out more wins and produce more wins. They're still Kentucky baseball. I know in my seeing of fans and stuff like that, there's been some disinterest throughout the season a little bit, and people kind of strayed away from it. But they're still so fun to watch. They're still playing the same brand of baseball. And this matchup they have with Wake Forest coming up is certainly like, I don't want to say playing the exact same team, but it's like pretty darn close. Like Wake Forest has made 59 errors. UK's made 55. They both like to steal bags. They both get a lot of hits. Both of their pitching is kind of, like you don't know. Depends on the day, who's out there.
Yeah.
Whatever the baseball gods favor that day. Like it's all down to it. And these teams are pretty similar. Wake Forest has scored over 20 twice this year. But then their bullpen, there's only probably about 4 or 5 guys that I'd really be worried about if I was a Wildcat. And only 2 of them are starters. So it's like, it's only a one-off game, but maybe you get lucky and get to a guy, and then you get to the middle relief and you kind of just slide it up. That kind of feels like what the game plan should be to me for both teams. No, that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah. So, they can maybe go up there with a chip on their shoulder. A lot of people think they shouldn't have been part of the field. So, if they want to take that approach, they can and have a little extra motivation, a little extra fuel to prove them wrong. Yeah, they had, epic games against West Virginia last year and came up a little bit short. Right. So you got that playing into it as well. because they were just in Lexington. Now Kentucky makes a trip. NCAA does storylines no matter what sport it is.
Oh yeah.
It's
Oh yeah.
in basketball, we've seen Kentucky play Eastern Kentucky and Northern and all that, but now, hey, let's send Kentucky to Morgantown. We had West Virginia and Lexington last year. Let's do a little home and home in the tournament. So,
Right.
so
And revenge is sweet, and there's been games in the past where Kentucky's lit West Virginia up. So, I'm sure, even if the players are different, those coaches still probably love to compete against each other and not have it out, but they definitely want to get that win. So, beating Wake Forest, beating West Virginia, that put you pretty darn up in the field, and hopefully that ends up being the case. Road up to Omaha, be super nice, but we'll see.
absolutely. Kentucky football put out their start times for their first 3 games. I'll see if I can get that up here. If I can do that right. Let's see. I had it right there. Bear with me, everybody. Let's see if I can get my act together. There, I think we got it now. There it is. Youngstown State, 1:00. Alabama, Texas A&M, 3:30 p.m. Middle of the day. We got CBS now. It was ABC.
ABC,
yeah. But that 3:30 kind of the big time matchup that would be in the daytime. So Kentucky's going to get 2 of those back to back after they open up with Youngstown State.
Yeah, I don't hate the times at all, and I won't complain. Like, that's great. But, man, I wish that Bama game was a night game more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that could be like a 7 o'clock kickoff, they would have hit the nail on the coffin with it. But still good times for everybody. That's, like you said, the prime time of the Saturday. It's when everyone's watching football. And then right when you get done with the 1 o'clock games, boom, you're right into a Kentucky Bama. So can't hate on it at all. Has me excited for the season, personally.
Yeah. And it's just a couple with Alabama. Both of those games are just a couple weeks before Keeneland starts, which, A&M games on the road anyway. But if Bama, like you said, the night game, go to Keeneland during the day and then hit Kroger Field at night, which is just going to miss that window being early September. But it's still going to be electric. It's the first marquee matchup of the Will Stein era. Assuming you go ahead and handle business against Youngstown State, and the fan base is already looking ahead. But the coach and the staff and the players, take care of Mark Stoops' hometown school first, and then, Bama rolls in, and hey, it's crazy now. It's like it's not Nick Saban. I think I heard Nick Rouse saying that it ain't Nick Saban, but show up and be competitive and just see what happens, man.
I'll tell you what, though, like, in years past, he would look at this and be like, yeah, Kentucky's going 1-2. But, I mean, Nick Saban's not walking through that door. Credit to Roush, he really brought these points forward. But just like Alabama was so poor in the run game, they're going to have a true freshman out there at quarterback. Yeah. His first road game is going to be at Kroger Field. We can almost guarantee that the environment's going to be crazy for that one. Last year's Bama game, or maybe it was 2 years ago, but last year was electric, even though Kentucky football wasn't up. And now you have a new coach and just so many things coming to fruition for that program. BBN's going to show out. BBN's going to want to be there for that one. And then going to A&M, it's obviously, going down to College Station, there's not many teams who go down there and beat some tail, but having their coordinator and knowing maybe some tricks and having them up their sleeve and building confidence for Kenny Minchie in those first two games. If you're coming off a win against Alabama at home, you're going to be confident. You're going to be ready to go against anybody. So there's definitely a world where they could start out 3-0. I don't know if I necessarily believe it will actually happen, but at least that possibility is there. There's not like a world where we just look at an opponent and we put an L next to it and move on instantly.
Yeah.
So,
and you think about Trinidad Chambliss coming to Kroger Field last year when Ole Miss threw 2 picks. I think Ty Bryan got 2 picks that game, and he was a little shaky. Ole Miss ended up winning, and Kentucky was there as offensively challenged as last year's team was. They were in it for 60 minutes with Ole Miss, who was a top 10 squad all year long. They won 10, 11 games, however many games they won, made the playoff and all this. So, you got, like you said, a true freshman. Other fans probably think LSU, Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, as far as difficulty, places to play, bigger stadiums, more people. But Kroger Field's rocking, and when they're into it, and we've all been in there when magic has happened, and we can make just as much noise as anybody and be just as tough a place to play. Think of all those false starts we had with Florida.
I was just about to say that, and just like even the Ole Miss game you brought up, like I believe 12 false starts / holdings combined.
Yeah,
and it's like, bro, like if you can. I think that's where Will Stein makes the difference because, like basketball is a game of runs, baseball, one swing of the bat, you can change a game. Football, make one little mistake, it could ruin your drive. It could just toss it up. If you have a 2nd and 5, but then you get a holding call, all of a sudden you're probably punting. Like not many teams get out of that situation. And cleaning up the little things, being not perfect, but just like being a robot and knowing your assignment and like getting it down. They're going to make mistakes. It's the first year of this Will Stein era. But I think that's maybe where he gets the edge on some people is just coaching and paying attention to detail and not wavering when you're in a game moment. Like you have Texas in your end zone and you're, leading the game and you can't get that stop. Like Georgia, being able to go for that 4th down play and maybe get it because you have different personnel out there. There's a lot of what ifs you can bring back up from the Mark Stoops era where I just think Will Stein will make sure that kind of stuff doesn't happen and give up a game for Kentucky.
Absolutely. Man, what's coming up at K1 Insider before I let you go? What y'all got coming down the pipe or what kind of work you got?
Yeah, I'm excited for La Familia. I know we're rolling out like the schedule for the men's basketball season and football's on the horizon. But I'm so excited just to see that go on again, having the round robin with Louisville, just knowing how that was last time at Freedom Hall. Just excited to experience that, have 2 games at HMC if it ends up going to a game 3. And then just knowing that it's like Willie Cauley-Stein's last go around, not official yet, but like fully anticipating the Harrison twins to be back. That's like my era of guys. And even recently with them adding Reed Travis, like that's so like when I was 15, 16 years old, I remember going to Chicago during Christmas time to watch the Tar Heels and Kentucky play. And Reed Travis just bullied the crap out of him, dunked everything. I'm pretty sure he had a 20-20 game. And so, like, there's memories like that still in my head from when I was growing up and watching stuff. So it's always just cool to see those guys and kind of less of a spotlight. Like they're not national stars anymore, but just the name and who they were at Kentucky just makes them walking legends. And it's so cool to just experience them, be up close, interacting with them. see him play on a, playing at Rupp Arena and playing at HMC is very different. Like I remember watching Willie catch a lob, and I was standing right under him pretty much, and it's just like that feeling and that experience is just otherworldly. And they've done such a good job of building it up as quick as they have and getting fans interested and going to the events and yada yada. So I'm so excited for that, and I know all the guys at KY Insider are too, for sure.
Absolutely, man. Well, y'all keep up the good work. We appreciate it. Appreciate you taking the time. Hope your evening at work goes quickly and smoothly as possible.
Yes, sir.
Y'all follow Kai at Fourwall, FOURWAL1 on Twitter, and we'll get you back on here again sometime, man. Can't thank you enough, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir, man. Kai McClelland, KY Insider, hopping on here before he goes to work. So appreciate that. Look, man, thanks to him, y'all didn't have to just listen to me fly solo since TB is not here. Speaking of TB, as y'all know, if y'all listen for any length of time or watched any length of time, he always, without even trying, goes viral on Twitter. You look up and, his tweet about him and his wife, the way they met, and there was thousands and millions of views. And there's other tweets, he'll quote tweet something and just put a little humor to it. And next thing you know is, thousands of views, and it's super duper viral. And he's got to mute his phone because it's blowing up and all that. We talked about it many times. I've teased him about it, but look, he goes viral without even trying. Well, me, that never happens. I'm the guy like Terry. You think you got something that's sounding good and it's really good, and it gets crickets, or you think it's going to be real witty, and nobody even pays any attention. This is nowhere near TB level, but for me, this is kind of viral. For everybody that keeps up with the NBA, if you saw Kenny Atkinson, Cleveland's coach, when they were down 3-0, he came out in a post-game press conference. They're losing 3-0 to the Knicks. And he said analytically, he felt that the Cavs had won 2 out of 3 of those games. That's not what any of the Cavaliers fans wanted to hear. And, everybody's rolling their eyes. And he went into the expected score and had the expected score played out a certain way. Analytically, they were outscoring the Knicks at certain points and certain times. Anyway, when the clock hit zeros, the Knicks had more points than the Cavs, and the Cavs lost those games. They ended up losing 4 straight. They got swept. But analytically, according to Kenny Atkinson, they beat the Knicks 2 out of 3 times. Well, there was a tweet today that I replied to, and listen, I'm not TB. Like I said, I don't go viral like he does, but Godspeed Brother on Twitter said no NBA basketball tonight for the entire country because the city of Cleveland has no self-respect. Because, last night we had Spurs Thunder. This time of year, Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals, they alternate. One plays one night, the other plays the next night. Well, tonight, since Cleveland got swept, there are no games. We get game 6, OKC San Antonio, tomorrow. But because Cleveland has no self-respect, according to Godspeed Brother on Twitter, we don't get any conference finals games tonight. The Knicks get to rest and watch the Spurs and Thunder beat up on one another until June 3rd when the finals kick off. So my reply to Godspeed, because he said there's no basketball because the city of Cleveland has no self-respect, my response was, well, in true Kenny Atkinson fashion, analytically, they haven't been eliminated yet. And for me, this is my version of a viral tweet, like 1,000 likes and 28,000 views. That doesn't happen when I tweet out anything. So that was my best attempt, or the closest to a viral tweet I will ever have. So I just took a minute to share that. It's nothing close to TB level stuff, but for little me, that was a viral tweet. I'm going to close this show out. Going to go to our sponsor one more time because I forgot to play their ad last episode. It's going to double up and go Sheer Alternatives again, and then we'll close this show out.
Today's show is sponsored by Sheer Alternatives. Explore all natural products, eco-friendly, fluoride-free toothpaste, and clean dental care made with natural ingredients. Redefining wellness through clean ingredients, reduced waste, and eco-friendly care. Go to sheeralternatives.com. Not only do they do toothpaste, but mouthwash, oral care products, sea moss, and more. So make sure to check it out today, sheeralternatives.com.
Again, check everybody out at Sheer Alternatives. Appreciate them being a sponsor on our show. Appreciate Kyle McClelland being a guest on our show. Hate that TB had to miss due to work, but that kind of stuff happens. Probably no show next week, so I'm going to be out of town and on vacation, but we'll keep y'all posted on all of that. Keep following us at Cats Talk Wednesday on Twitter and Facebook and my YouTube page. Listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you listen and watch. We appreciate it. Subscribe on YouTube. Rate and review on whatever podcast platform you choose to consume the show on. Check out the BS3 Network. We are here courtesy of them, and we appreciate that as well. See what happens with our cats. TBT is coming up. Not a lot of stuff right now. It's this time of the year. It's getting a little bit slower through the summer. But go Cats as always, and we'll be back in the future with more episodes of Cats Talk Wednesday. Take care, everybody. Go Cats. We'll holler at y'all next time.